Om Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vitvaram Om Shanti 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 Om Bhadram Karni Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhirya Jatraha Sthirairangai Tushtavagam Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ओम शांति शांति शांति. We are almost at the concluding session of chapter 2. The section that we are discussing, which is Brahmanas 5 to 13, is the etiology of prana by the Indriyas in a way so that this prana is recognized first as Brahman, then as Hiranyagarbha, and then thirdly as the entire Srishti Prapancha, and finally at the individual level as that vital air, vital energy which sustains the body. The summary of this chapter is going to be presented today by Maleshwari. Thank you, Maleshwari, for offering your services. Please unmute yourself and you can start with the summary.
This is the second question in this Upanishad, where Bhargava asks sage Pippalada, how many factors support the beings and illumine them, and of them which is the greatest? So this sage Pippalada replies that the factors that support living beings are the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, the mind, and the five great elements, that is space, air, fire, water, and earth. Then he says the greatest factor is the prana, because without the prana, none of these can function. And therefore, the rest of the reply is all about the praising of prana, the glorification of prana. So it is said that prana is the factor that lends sentiency to everything, including the sun, the moon, and the fire. It illumines Murta and Amurta. Murta is that which is with form, that which is gross, such as water, fire, earth, and Amurta is that which has no form, such as space and air and all the subtle things. So this prana holds everything firmly together like the hub of a wheel, and it is that which enlivens and makes sentient all people, so that the Kshatriyas, the Brahmins, and all others are able to perform their activities and keep up the moral and social fabric of the community. Now, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana on the Vedic truths is also possible only because of the sentiency given by prana to the seeker. Now, that prana, which is none other than Hiranyagarbha or Prajapati or Ishvara, is the one who pervades everything, including the child in the womb. And all the sense objects and experiences are offered to this prana, which is associated with the BMI, and the prana in each body functions through the upapranas, that is prana, apana, yana, samana, and udana. So the physiological functions of every living being are performed through these upapranas. The prana in its fire form conveys our oblations to the forefathers. Now, most people do not recognize that the substratum behind this entire world is that prana itself. And those who do not recognize it will be subject to transmigration again and again, and they're caught in the wheel of samsara. They're trapped in the wheel of samsara. But those who ardently believe in Ishvara, who have absolute Shraddha in Ishvara, they will be subject to Krama Mukti, which means that after their death, they go to Brahmaloka. There they are tutored by Brahma himself, and thereafter, at the time of Pralaya, they merge into Brahman. But those who recognize the substratum behind this whole world to be nothing other than the prana and who experience it, they merge into Brahman. So we find that prana expresses itself as the sun, the moon, the clouds, the rain, and everything. And it is the rain which gives sustenance to this world. Now, prana itself, he says, prana itself is Indra. And Indra is one who controls the Indriyas. And therefore, the one that controls the Indriyas in us is the mind. Therefore, he says that Indra himself, prana itself, is Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Shiva, who destroys this world in the sense that he withdraws the world into himself at the time of Pralaya. So in that way, what I understood is that it is the mind which creates, which sustains, and which is the cause for Pralaya also. Now, all the sense organs are only acting in this divine play of the prana, which is the life force in all of us. So, sir, this is what I understood. I'm sure it's a very simplistic explanation. I hope you'll forgive me for making it too simple and correct me wherever I have gone wrong.
No, you're not wrong. You touched upon the essential aspect of this chapter. The key thing that we have to keep in mind is that at all point of times, we'll have to think in three planes of reference. The first plane of reference is the physiological system, which is our individual. There, this Brahman is actually appearing as vital air or prana, prana, pana, etc. If you want to experience Brahman, you can see the expression of Brahman through prana. If prana is not there, you are not there. So your very existence as an individual depends upon prana. The same Brahman, which is prana, is functioning in this entire cosmos as the very energy which sustains this cosmic order. Without that energy, sun will not be sun, moon will not be moon, etc. etc. All of them, including clouds, rain, everything outside of this individual is sustained by Brahman as the cosmic energy. So that vital sentiency or vital air or prana inside the body is Brahman. The prana, which is the cosmic energy which is maintaining the order of this universe to a particular discipline and a kind of a flow, that also is same Brahman as prana, the universal energy. And in essence, it is none other than Brahman, which is the substratum of both the Jiva and the Jagat. And therefore, naturally, the substratum of Ishvara also. You have to keep on thinking in this Upanishad in all the three planes simultaneously. Your thought flow dwelt upon an individual's approach to what is prana. But you must also keep in mind you are not just the individual, you're also the entire cosmic being that is there. You're only a part of this cosmic being. And as a cosmic being, you must know that the law and order that is being maintained in this cosmic being is because of prana. And not only are you cosmic being, you are the very essence of Ishvara also. Therefore, you have to recognize that you are the unchanging substratum, which is prana, the Brahman. So prana here in this entire Upanishad is actually substituted for Brahman. But in order to take you comfortably up to that point, the Upanishad and Sage Pipalata is taking us through various nuances. And in this particular chapter 2, the approach is what is known as Tatastha Lakshana, meaning you are standing away from the object of your focus and trying to describe it with respect to the objective of focus. What is the object of our focus today? The individuality in me is sustained by my karmendriya and jnanendriya and my mind. And with reference to that, prana becomes the essential substratum. So the Upanishad, while trying to give you the broad picture of how prana is everything, is also trying to point out to you in this particular Upanishad that the same Brahman, prana, etc., what we discussed in chapter 1, is the one which is actually enlivening this karmendriya, jnanendriya, and mind. So the so-called identity that we have, that I am the mind, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, is dropped at that point in time. You recognize that I am not any of them with respect to enjoying, with respect to doing, and with respect to being the mind which is full of thoughts, opinions, views, etc. I am actually the prime mover of all of them. So what will happen internally to our intellect? It will start detaching itself from that identity that we currently have, that I am Jnanendriya, I am Karmendriya, and I am mind. I am mind means I am Jiva. I am Jnanendriya means I am enjoyer. I am Karmendriya means I am actually doer. See how beautifully the Upanishad is positioning our intellect in the correct perspective while giving the broad picture of the entire cosmos to us. So you have to constantly keep thinking that Upanishad is talking about me. Otherwise, the Upanishad will not open up. We cannot discuss Upanishad in third person. Every single word in Upanishad is meaning directly you. That's all, nothing else. So here, prana, you are being realized by your mistaken identity as karta, bhokta, and jiva. The karta, bhokta, jiva that you are today has suddenly recognized what you essentially are, which is prana, which is Brahman. You think you're limited in this BMI as a doer, an agent of action. You are limited in this BMI as a enjoyer of results. And you're thinking that all the thoughts that you have about yourself as I thought notion, I thought, etc., all that makes you understand you're not any of them. Even such thoughts are sustained by you by another entity in you which is not discovered till now, which is the one which is energizing yourself, the entire cosmos, and is the very substratum of this entire creation. You are not limited by your BMI. If you think you're limited, then the whole discussion will be pulling that prana from the status as Brahman to being a mere karta, bhokta, jiva. Karta means doer, bhokta means enjoyer, jiva means mind, bound in the mind. I think I am, therefore I am. No, you are, therefore you think. Reverse thinking process. That's it. Good summary, ma. Very good. Well done. Thank you very much for a
Thank you.
well, well prepared summary. Very good. Can we go inside the session today? Next slide, please. Prana as Brahman is essence of Prajapati. And further, the same prana as Brahman became the energy aspect created by Prajapati. And this prana as Brahman and as the energy factor is sustaining this entire creation. The same prana as Brahman at the individual level, we call it Atman in that context, through the fivefold modification is sustaining the individual BMI and Jiva. This is the summary of how the thought is so far, right? Which Malishwari had very clearly explained. All the dots and dashes she connected and explained very nicely. An additional point on the Brahmana 11 is that there was a term that came there which is called Eka Rishihi. And there is a significance of this Eka Rishi, which is actually synonymous with the first fire. Okay. And it is especially significant for Atharvana Veda followers. Because it is this Eka Rishi which is kindled by specific mantras in the Atharvana Veda, and all followers of Atharvana Veda should actually use this Eka Rishi as the fire for all their rituals. They cannot use any other fire. And symbolically, what does this Eka Rishi indicate is, it indicates that Prajapati offered himself into the fire of creation, and that fire of creation symbolically is Ekarishi, and because of which he split himself into Rai and Prana, that which is higher and that which is lower. And so this Agni, which is called Ekarishi, is also referred in Mundaka Upanishad also. Mundaka Upanishad is the mantra portion of this particular thing, for which is qualified by Prashnopanishad, which is the Brahmana. Brahmanas will typically qualify mantras of the Upanishads. So Brahmana Upanishad is like a addendum to Mundaka Upanishad. So Prashna Upanishad, as I told you right at the beginning, is an addendum to Mundaka Upanishad. So we have to now, after studying this, study Mundaka Upanishad also. So there in the Mundakopanishad, there is the 10th mantra, तदेतत्वा अभ्युक्तं क्रियावन्तः श्रोत्रियः ब्रह्मनिष्ठाः स्वयं जुह्वत एकऋषिः. There it is mentioned that juhvanta means they are doing the oblations. They are actually breathing that fire after pouring oblations into it. That ekarishi shraddhayantaha means with faith they are worshipping that ekarishi fire. And tesham me etam brahma vidyam vadetha. Only for that people who are doing such a mantra, please give them the ordained Brahma Vidya. Otherwise, you should not. Basically, those who have been following the Vedic way of life and recognize the superior nature of Prajapati or Ishvara, and they have full faith in that Prajapati, they are the people who will benefit from this Upanishadic knowledge. And Vidivat, according to the scriptures, they must do it. Not like, okay, I believe in God, I will do whatever I like. Not like that. Yaistu Jaurnam. Only they will gain the benefit of this knowledge, is what is mentioned by Mundaka Upanishad. And this Upanishad also takes the same term, and the same fire that was mentioned in the Mundaka Upanishad is called out here as Ekarishi, and it says, "O Prana, you are that Ekarishi. You are the Prana Shakti, Prana Devata, to which Prajapati offered himself as the Ahuti." This is the connector point which came up. I did study it later, so I thought I will add this to complete the discussion. Let's go into the session today. Next slide, please. या ते तनुर्वाचि प्रतिष्ठिता या श्रोत्रे या च चक्षुषी या च मनसि सन्तता शिवां तां कुरु मोत्क्रमीः. What is this motramihi? It means ma utkramihi. Ma means no, utkrami means go up and away from us. This is eulogy of the indriyas, both karmendriya, jnanendriya, and the mind to prana. And they are telling after this, after praising prana as the entire essence of creation, as Brahman, as Prajapati, as everything in this world, now they are telling Ya te, that. Ya means that. Te means of yours. Tanuhu, form. Vachi, in the speech. Pratishtita. Your form is there in the speech as its very essence. Is established. Pratishtita means it is established. Ya, that which. Shrotre, in our hearing, we have to substitute there Pratishtita, meaning that which is established in our hearing, that prana. Again, ya, cha, that which, and chakshushi, in our seeing also it is established. Without prana, we cannot speak. Without prana, we cannot hear. Without prana, we cannot see. And further, he says that which, cha means and, manasi, in the mind, santata, pervades as acts of thinking, etc. Entire mind is only prana. One word he says, prana is nothing but the mind here. So our ability to think and the thoughts that are produced in our mind are all possible because of only prana. Without prana, we cannot think. Is there anybody in this group who believes that we can think without prana? No. Prana is the essence. Shivam. Shivam means make auspicious. Shivam also means make peace. So make us peacefully do our jobs. Please do not run away from us, leaving us as inert beings. It is your presence that is making us energize ourselves to perform our functions of speaking, hearing, and seeing, etc., and also thinking. Tam, that form, Kuru. Keep that form of yours which is peacefully present. Meaning, don't jump up and run away in anger and all that, because without you, we don't exist. Why? Because prana said as though it wanted to go, it started, and that's when all these senses came to their knowledge. So we also have to say that, oh Jiva, please think of Atman and don't try to run away from Atman. Atma, don't leave us. Don't leave that thought that I am Brahman, I am Atma from your mind ever. So your mind should always say, I am Atman. Your speech should always say, I am Atman. Your hearing should be always about Atman. So Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is implied here also. And when you are constantly thinking of that truth, which is the prana, which is the Prajapati, which is the Ishvara, which is the Brahman, all the three levels, and you are parking it in your intellect as the very substratum of you and peacefully there, not in agitation. When there will be agitation, when you think you are Jiva and you're trying to bring in Brahman into you, there will be agitation. Because you think Jiva and Brahman are two different things. Instead, you'll have to merge them together and understand your identity is not Jiva, your identity is Brahman. And whatever you are currently experiencing as Jiva and you giving reality to it is a mere projection on Brahman. And who is Brahman? You. Please do not think there is a Brahman somewhere. I am the Jiva who has been projected on Brahman. No. You are the Brahman on which you have projected your Jivahood and all the activities that you think are real. And when you try to do that, there will be two problems. One is that there is a spatial constraint that we are all sensing constantly. I am within this BMI. How do I get out of this BMI to feel that experience? The experience is not going to be a gross experience of spreading yourself into every being. I am the monkey, I am the cat. Don't think that way. That will give us a lot of problem. We will have an identity crisis. We do not know how to behave there, right? The differences in the BMI will remain. Your BMI and the other BMIs that are around you, inert as well as sentient, are projected on you like you did in your own dream. You have to park yourself in that subtle feeling where you are subtly everything, not grossly everything. In order to be subtly aware of everything, you should drop all gross thinking about everything. What is gross thinking? What is subtle thinking? Nobody told us. They are all like words. They are running through us and we don't make any sense out of it. The key here is to just imagine yourself to be a single strand, okay? A single point, not the pervading personality that you have of yourself as being this BMI. If you can shrink yourself to that single point, that point is the center of you, is the center of the universe also. Like if you draw two concentric circles, the central point is the same. As long as you're visualizing yourself as that small circle, you're stuck with the small circle. But if you can go to the very core of yourself and recognize yourself as the single point on which the small circle has been superimposed through a radius small x, the whole universe has been superimposed on that same single point with a radius large x. That's all. So the very core of you and the very core of the universe is one and the same. That subtle thinking you have to build into yourself. And who is that core? Prana. And that thinking that you are the core of everything. Let it not go away from us is what is. Please do not go away from us. Not the physical thing of prana leaving our body, everything go. That is only for the sake of vyavahara. But as you would fear, if the prana goes away, I am going to die. The greatest fear, they call it klesha in Sanskrit. There are five kleshas, out of which the greatest klesha, the greatest fear we have is fear of not being alive. Every being is worried about its death. And when death actually approaches, they compromise and accept, but they don't really like it. Helplessly, they will die. Everybody dies helplessly. Nobody dies saying, I want to die. Right? Why? Because we fear it. And what do we fear? There are two kind of things in death. One is whatever I think I am, I'm going to lose, which means the things that I think I like, I'm going to lose. And whatever I don't like, which is the post-death experience, I'm going to gain that. This is the greatest fear in all of us, okay? My record collection, my book collection, my table, my chair, my family, my children, my car, my house. How many things we will lose at death? Huge list is there. Bank balance, everything is lost. And I do not know what's going to happen because if I believe in Shastras, I may be born as a frog, which means all this is gone and I'll have a frog's life. What a threat it will be, right? And we always believe we'll be something less than human being or so much papa we have done. We know it also. Heart of heart, we know it, okay? None of us think that we will get another human being, another opportunity to liberate. No, we know we are not going to become human being. We may become mosquitoes being swatted by that bat. All that only we will think. With that thought, the fear of death is what is holding us seriously into our life. While we are living, we are constantly fearing death. And all our preparation is to make this death comfortable. More money, more comfort, more relations, all that we want. So that our death will be comfortable. I'll be surrounded by everybody and die. Actually, you will be surrounded by nobody when you die. Please remember that. So this asmita, which is I want to always be there, which is called asmita, let me always be there, is thwarted by death. Here, when we say don't go away from us, it is that fear of death which is actually making these indriyas, karmendriya, jnanendriya, and mind tell the prana don't go away from us, because without that prana, we become limited. That is in the physiological system. But the inner meaning here is that, oh, Brahma Jnana, don't leave us. The knowledge of prana as Brahman, let it not leave us so that we don't fear death. And who has to recognize that? The same mind and indriyas, and they have to recognize that they are, in essence, prana and not the limited understanding they have of themselves. This is what I meant that Upanishad will talk to us at multiple planes, and it won't be comprehensible to your intellect ever. It's not going to be, you cannot bring that Upanishadic knowledge into your intellect and say, I've understood it. You'll never be able to do it. Because the Upanishad is designed in such a way that it transcends your intellect also, because it has to subdue your intellect into accepting this reality that you are Brahman and not the limited being. And to do that, it is putting in all these messages hidden one behind another. As you start doing Shravanam and Mananam again and again, more and more of the same Upanishad will open up. So how many times I should read Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad? as many times as possible, because every time a new message will come to you from the same Upanishad and the same Bhagavad Gita. Please do not go away from us. Oh Prana, that Brahma Jnana, don't go away from us, is the hidden message. But the explicit message for common man, oh Prana, don't leave this body, otherwise Indriyas and Mana and will die. We'll accept that also, no problem. Because for common people, such knowledge is also required. At least they will turn their attention away from their Indriya pursuits, like sense pursuits and other things. They will turn to at least some essence which is called prana, essence that is called Prajapati, essence that is called Brahmaji, Shiva, etc. Okay, next slide, please. This is almost concluding this theology. And who is offering the eulogy? The Indriyas are offering the eulogy to prana, the total energy in the body. It is the pranic energy that makes them function. We are nothing but instruments, and the efficiency of this instrument depends upon the quality and texture of the energy that is working through us. If you have a fan, unless the right voltage and the right ampere is maintained, the fan will not rotate properly, correct? In the summer, this load shedding and all, you've seen how many instruments malfunction. Why? The quality of that current that is coming in is bad. Same way, unless the prana is perfect, our indriyas, karmendriya, jnanendriya, and thinking also will be disrupted. The instruments of knowledge and action are requesting prana to manifest itself in all its glory and purity and strength through them. Saying, unless you are perfectly organized and functioning in us, we cannot be perfect. Unless we think that I am Brahman and then live a Jiva's life, we will not be a perfect Jiva. Again, a hidden meaning. This stanza is also linked to the invocation for this particular Prashnopanishad. Bhadram Karanevi. That Bhadram there is what is indicated. Does anybody know how to chant that stanza by now? Bhadram Karnevi? Yes or no? Anita ji, you want to chant? Okay, let's try. Give it a shot.
Uh, I don't remember it very
No
well,
problem.
actually.
I'll ask Mahesh to bring up that slide for you. The first slide. Just look at the words and chant. Doesn't matter. Just get that feeling of chanting. That's all. Don't worry. Don't fear anything in this world. It's all your A and Anita Advani. That is A and
Yeah.
A. So you go first. That's all. Nothing else.
Okay.
Alphabetically, you. Can you bring up slide 3 again back, Mahesh? Thank you. Back. This one. Yes.
Om Bhadram Karne Vishnu. My
Shruniyama.
pronunciation.
Shruniyama.
Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Sthirairange Shushtunav
Sushtuvakum.
Shushtunav Sastanobihi Vyashemahe Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vidrashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti na Staksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspadir Tadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. I think you should chant. You have a nice voice and you should more often try to chant. A little bit of Sanskrit words are a little difficult, but once you hear and learn, I think you'll be able to chant very well. Please do try, okay? Learn it. It's worth knowing it also. Good. So
Thank you.
coming back to this thing, that swastina, let my mind be pure, let my hearing be auspicious. All that is meant here in this. So let that prana that is working behind the speech be pure. Let my eyes see nothing but purity. See nothing but purity means what? Let my eyes always see that which is prana, that which is Brahman. Let my ears always listen to Vedanta. That is the prayer there, and that is what these are telling. Let us always think of you and nothing else. If the prana is pure in a man, then the individual's words will be pure. And naturally, his mind will become pure. And once whose mind is pure, his thoughts will constantly be pure. And to such an individual, destiny shall bring nothing but auspiciousness as his experience. That auspiciousness means what? Recognizing his true nature, it brings it to him. So, what is it that we should do? Only concentrate and recognize our glory as that infinite truth. And constantly meditate and think about nothing else. Every 10 seconds, you switch off your Jiva Bhava and switch on to that Atma Bhava. That's all. Every 10 seconds, once in a while, I am not this Jiva. This Jiva is a projection, and today it is going through some XYZ experience. That's all. See that effect in you, you will recognize that there is a wonderful feeling of peace. The moment you drop that limitedness in us, there is an infinite peace that will descend onto us. It's a direct experience of peace that you can never define. Usually, we get peace when some noise that is there ceases, which is called quietude. We get peace in deep sleep. That means all the noise of the world is switched off, we get peace. And when we wake up, the whole noise comes back, nothing goes away. The quarrel you had with your children in the previous evening will come back to you in the morning when you wake up. It doesn't go away. The broken car which you saw and cried and went to sleep will remain broken. It doesn't get healed. Nothing ceases in this world. Everything comes back to the same point. So, what we should do is get that peace which is there, irrespective of this experience. That peace is what is mentioned here as auspiciousness. The moment you connect yourself to that truth of yourself, you get that tranquility which cannot be defined by words. It is the substratum of all tranquility in all beings, actually. It is a wonderful experience by itself. And that is why it says Adbhutam. In Upanishad itself says such an experience is Adbhutam. Adbhutam means what? Unthinkable. It is not a thought based experience, it is a real experience of tranquility. That is why all Mahatmas who went to Advaita never came back. Try it out. Just assert yourself to be that infinite truth. That's all. And do not allow anything to derail you. That's the key. That happens in Niridhyas. The more you meditate on that, the more it becomes yours. That's all. Next slide, please. Yate tanur vachi pratishtita ya shrotre ya cha chakshushi. According to the commentator Anandagiri, who wrote the Tika for this Bhashyam of Bhagavan Shankaracharya, he was his disciple, and he says different prana, parts of prana is apana controls the organ of speech, and vyana controls hearing, and prana, the breathing and breathing out, controls our seeing, and samana of thinking. So if your vision is disrupted, you do breathing exercise. Okay. And if your thinking is bad, please eat healthy food and digest your food properly. Samana. And if you think your hearing is not okay, that means you have to do a lot of exercise and allow that jnana to become increased in you. And apana, of course, if as long as you're able to get rid of all the negativities in you, your speech will be good. If prana leaves the body, none of these forms can function. And the organs will become inactive. That is what Anandagiri also notes. It is prana which supplies like oil to a lamp. The senses are kept burning. And the moment, like the bees, when the queen bee leaves, everything leaves. When the prana leaves, all the oil from all the lamps are taken away. So even though mind is present and the indriyas are present, they cannot function. It is only prana which is energizing the mind, and through the mind it is making the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas function. This is how Bhagavan Shankaracharya explains. Next slide, please. Shivam tam kuru ma utkrami. With the withdrawal of prana, the senses actually disintegrate. The lamps are there, but the flame is gone for want of oil. Hence, this appeal is made by the senses to prana, saying, do not depart from us. Please be there as our inner impeller. And be with us so that we can benefit the jivahood that we are responsible for. Let this thought of Brahman like an oil flow through us so that we can benefit and realize the auspicious nature of jiva. It's a prayer to ourselves. Reason, it's not to prana, okay, it's to ourselves. Which ourselves? That prana which is the essence of me, which is Brahma. This Brahmana suggests that the essential form of prana is invisible to the senses. It cannot be objectified by the senses. Eyes cannot see it, eye cannot function without it. Ear cannot hear it, but ear cannot hear without it, and so on and so forth. So that which is invisible to us is Brahman, Atman in us, that without which we cannot be what even a jiva that we are. And without this pancha pranas, senses cannot function, meaning without that Brahman in us, even a jivahood is not possible. Tam Shivam Kuru. May you peacefully be there behind me. Quietly be there. I don't want you to transact and become a jiva. Be there as Brahman, which you are. Only when prana is there residing in the BMI, the Indriya's mind can peacefully do their function. Ma utkrami. Do not get up and go away like you started off in the second Brahmana, right? Next slide, please. The same concept is also presented in Kenopanishad chapter 1, verse 2. But there, the Upanishad, in that Upanishad, prana is considered directly as Atman and Brahman. Here there is a veiled reference to Atman and Brahman, but there directly the Upanishad says, O prana, you are the Atman Brahman. Shotrasya shotram manaso mano yad vacho havacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshus chakshuhu atimunchya dira pretyasman lokan amrta bhavanti. Meaning, he, the Supreme Spirit, Paramatman, which is Brahman, is the ear of the ear. Meaning, the power of the ear to be an ear is residing with Paramatma, that supreme truth, which is prana in this Upanishad. Mind of the mind, power of the speech, and life energy of even the life energy. There, that prana there is the physical vital air, and the essence of it is Brahman. That Upanishad does not bring prana to the level like this Upanishad is done. We have to understand each Upanishad differently. There, prana is subsumed to its role as being only vital air. So it says the essence of that vital air is Brahman. So the terminologies need to be understood clearly so that we get the meaning. The intelligent, wise person who realizes this, they give up all self-identification with these limited adjuncts and renounce it, and thus they are blessed with immortality. In this current Brahmana, the reference to prana is Pancha Pranas, which is actually energizing the BME, not the Supreme Atman Brahman directly. Only a veiled reference is given in this Upanishad to the Atman Brahman. We'll have to understand it implicitly because this Brahmana is qualifying the Mundaka Upanishad. That Atman Brahman is talked about only in the Mundaka Upanishad. Prashnopanishad is only giving you the pointer to that. So it does not directly give an indication, but we have to get an implied understanding. This is how they all dots are all connected. Yacha manasi santata, meaning prana pervades this mind too. Now, in this particular term, santata, that means prana and mind have a continuously, uninterruptedly, incessantly connected existence. Okay. Now, the question will come to our mind, does the mind pervade prana or prana pervade mind? Or both of them are intertwined, like prana and rai in the beginning, we said they are intertwined. Is that what is happening in the individual? So we get that question in our mind. The answer to that will be taken up in the next chapter of the same Upanishad. We'll see that in detail. So park that point. Yacha manasi santata. That point will become clear in the next chapter. Discussion, we'll take it up there. Now, next slide, please. प्राणेस्यदं वशे सर्वं त्रिदिवे यत् प्रतिष्ठितं मातेव पुत्रानत्र पुत्रान् मातेव पुत्रानत्र स्वस्व श्रीश्च प्रज्ञां च विदेहिनः इति. This is a very complicated thing. I couldn't chant it the way it should be done because it's got a particular meter which is not fitting into any pattern. So I'll leave that. Anyway, the meaning is very clear. Pranasya vashe, under the control of prana, idam sarvam, all this world indicated by the pronoun this. Tridive, the third divine place, meaning third in the sequence of Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, which means Swarga. Swaha means Swarga. So the third divine place, which is Swarga, Yat Pradishtam, whatever is established in that particular thing, is established in prana alone. Mateva Putran Putratra Swaswaha, meaning as a mother would protect her own children. Shrishcha, splendor, Prajnamcha, intelligence, and Videhi, endow or bestow, Naha, on us, Iti, end of chapter. Iti means the chapter is coming to an end. All that is existing here is under the control of prana. All that is existing in the heaven is also under the control of prana. Bestow upon us as destined by our BMI, whatever splendor and intelligence in the form of wisdom, so that we are protected as a mother would protect her own offspring. Very simple mantra, looks very simple, but if you analyze it, some profound information we'll gain from it. We'll see that in the next two slides. Next slide, please. Now, Pranasuti is getting concluded. And sense organs, please remember, they are the one who are praying to prana. Idam sarvam pranasya vashe vartate. Idam sarvam means entire creation. Both at the micro and the macro levels is in the control of Hiranyagarbha Samashti Prana. That is what is implied. And the word idam refers to pratyaksha prapancha, that which is visible directly and grossly available to us. Okay. And that which is not visible to her is indicated by Trideve. Trideve means Swarga, which is not directly visible to us. Nobody has seen Swarga in their mortal forms, right? So that which is invisible to us and what is visible to her, everything is controlled by prana is maintained here. See, according to Shastra, there are higher lokas than this Bhuloka. There are 7 lokas, out of which The third three ones which are actually dissolved at the end of every day of Brahma is called Bhu, Bhuvar and Suvar. Bhu is Bhuloka. Suvar is the, I'm sorry, Bhuvar is the place of the mains. The ancestors will reside in what is known as interstitial space. Between Swarga and Bhuloka is called Bhuvar Loka, and Suvar Loka is the Swarga Loka. Now, the organs point out that not only this world is maintained by Prana Shakti, but the higher lokas are also and governed by the same Prana Shakti alone, which is governing this order in this Bhuloka. The same Prana Shakti is also governing the Bhuvar Loka and the Suvar Loka, indicated by three Dive. All the three divine places are properly maintained by this Prana Shakti. Meaning, Swargaloke yat pratishtitam, whatever is established in the Swargaloka, that also is maintained by prana alone. There too sense organs, sense objects are there, only special subtle sense organs, subtle sense objects are there. Vishaya are also there, different kind of Vishaya, that's all. So, Bhogya Prapancha, the world of enjoyment, is there also in Swarga, is also there in Bhuvarloka, is also there in Bhuloka. Only the grossness is increasing as you come down and down. Whatever is there in higher lokas, tatapi pranasya vashe. Even they are under the control of prana is implied here. All that we see is only controlled by the same prana shakti is to be understood here. Next slide, please. Therefore, what is the prayer? O Lord, protect us. Rakshasva. Rakshasva, Raksha means protect. Means may you protect us all unconditionally. We don't deserve protection because we are not even thinking of you. Till this Upanishad opened us up, we never knew the value of our prana. We thought a ventilator will solve our problem. It didn't. How many people are dying in spite of ventilators? Didn't work. Prana is the Shakti which is energizing our body to be what we are. And he says, please protect us like a mother does Putra. Very wonderful example they have picked up. Do you know that from the day you're born till the day you can actually be able to sustain yourself on your own, it is the mother who gives the support to the children. And what kind of support? Unconditional support. She is not even expecting the child to say thank you to her. Such a feeling only mother can have. And only mothers can understand this feeling also. No men can understand what that feeling is. That unconditional love to protect her children is there in a mother. Like that, please protect us because we don't deserve you. I never even thought of you as existing, but you are existing for me. No child recognizes that the mother is there, but it knows it will always come to her support. That implied support comes from the mother. Especially in the initial stages when we are not developing our own abilities to function, it is the mother who gives the support to us. None of our organs are able to function properly in the initial stage. It is mother as prana that is giving us the support. And Shankara Bhashya also reiterates this point. Whatever enjoyable thing is there in this world, sarvamidam, and all that is there in the world outside, everything is protected only by this prana shakti. Hence, Rakshasva, protect us. Mata iva putran, as a mother does her children. Since all the glory is natural to Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, which Malishwari brought out today very correctly, aptly, are at the disposal of this prana. Therefore, videhi naha means ordain us all that Shri. Shri here means Shriyaha, all splendor, all prajnanam means intelligence, which are protected and continued because of the presence of prana in us. We saw that also in the previous Brahmana also. It is prana that is making even this Shravana Manana Nididhyasana possible to us. And please understand, protect us. Naha means not just singular. Don't say protect me, protect all of us. Because we are all dependent on this prana, has been disclosed in this praise of prana as an all pervasive entity. Organs of speech, mind, everything is pervaded and all jivas are pervaded. Prana is ascertained truly as the Lord of creation and also the eater, which is the prana that was mentioned in chapter 1. I think with that, we have completed chapter 2. Next slide.